Justin Jefferson now out, pour some out. That means that there's potential volume now with the pass catchers in Minnesota. You have Jordan Addison, you have KJ Osborne. KJ Osborne, though, was someone who was running in 2 wide receiver sets. But how would you look at his projection? How would that shift within your guys' model and how you're projecting him?
Yeah, it's difficult. And again, starting at the team level, even there's some question mark with Minnesota. Do they adjust the way that they want to call plays without Justin Jefferson? This is a team that is, positive and pass right over expectation, which means like relative to game script, they're going to throw it more than the average team. And you have to sort of like account for, are they going to continue to do that? I know for us, like we pulled it back a little bit, just trying to capture a little bit of the uncertainty there that, maybe we'll see them play this week and we'll be like, okay, they're going to call plays like normal, but we want to capture some of that range of like, maybe they dial it back without Justin Jefferson. And then when you're trying to assign target shares, these situations are incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
We try not to we're always very careful of overloading players that might not be that talented with too much volume just because it's there. That's definitely a mistake that you can make. That's easy to fall into. There are some things that can help with that. If you look at like the players' targets per route run and stuff historically, even that can be challenging because KJ Osborne's targets per route run is always going to be low because he's always playing with Justin Jefferson. But if you look at him compared to some of his teammates, though, like Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, you can start to see some differences. So Jordan Addison is actually going to get a much bigger spike in routes run than KJ Osborne, who's already running a ton of routes. So we lean the target share higher on Jordan Addison. Kind of if you're looking at the targets per route run and how the route share is going to change with Jefferson out, it looks like he's probably going to get more targets. We have it like kind of close. I think our initial projections are 21% target share on Addison and 18% on Osborne. Those might be a touch conservative, but hopefully like some of those elements make sense as to like the different things that you're looking at and like levers you can kind of pull to try and figure out how to project. But it's definitely subjective, to your point, to figure out an uncertain situation like this.
Yeah, not only that, but you got to know some ball to be able to build these projections, right? Like you have to understand, like someone who's fantastic in the like arguably the gold standard in terms of season long projections is Mike Clay, who's been doing it for years and years and years. Now he's doing it for ESPN, and Mike knows football just as much, if better than most people out there. And when you know how things change and move, and I know that this is like, I'm not an NBA DFS player, so I could be talking out of my butt right now, but it seems like with NBA, right, that when a player is out, the people who can take advantage of those last second scratches are the ones who just understand inherently basketball and then who steps in and who would get more minutes, et cetera, et cetera. You're doing that in football too, where Jordan Addison has not been running in 2 wide sets. He's only been out there in 11 personnel for the most part. And so now all of a sudden he's going to be out there in 2 wide sets. So like you're saying, his routes run number is going to go up. That means that he's the one who would then benefit more in that situation. Another example of that this week, I talked about this on my sleeper show, but if you look at Houston, assuming that Tank Dell is out, we don't know at this point while we're recording this, but assuming that Tank Dell is out, people are going to naturally go to Robert Woods and say, oh, Robert Woods is going to get this bump. He's going to be someone that I'm going to like a little bit more, which I get it. I mean, that's fine if you want to go the Robert Woods route. But he's already seen 20% plus target shares week in and week out in that offense, and he's running a decent number of routes. The real winner in that scenario is the player who isn't running in 11 personnel and running out there. That's John Mechie. He's the one who's actually seeing the biggest jump and the biggest spike, with Tank Dell being sidelined. And so I think that just understanding the depth chart, understanding how teams are running their offenses also goes a really long way in how to build accurate and good projections, which is another reason why I always find it funny when people criticize the projection building process and the model building process, that people who do them don't know ball. I would argue that the people who are building them, that are good at it, right, are the ones who are adding that nuance and understanding football on a more meaningful level.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, repeating myself, but lucky to work with a bunch of people who do know ball. So it's a good marriage of things for sure. And there's different situations are different, obviously. If you get a situation, let's say T. Higgins was fully healthy and Jamar Chase was missing the game, he might get a really big bump in target share, like, because we know what type of player T. Higgins is, and we're like confident in his skill ability. Like that's so even though his routes aren't going to increase,
Yes.
similar to KJ Osborne, we feel a lot more comfortable kind of slapping a much higher targets per route run on him than we do someone like KJ Osborne. It's not going to all scale the same for each team. It's pretty dynamic.